peering through the veil of darkness. The paranormal, spiritual, and comedic abound. Welcome to the Richard Spasoff Show.
The Richard Spasoff Show is brought to you by Audible, and you can find us on our website at thepsychicmediumspasoffshow.com. Also, the Richard Spasoff Podcast is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts, available for you on Android and coming soon iDevices. To get all of the great stuff and more from the Richard Spasoff Show, please check out the website hcuniversalnetwork.com. I also like to give a big thank you to TalkStream Live for bringing us aboard their website. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Bill. Onward to our PSA.
Hi, I'm Betty White. Keepers of the Wild is a nonprofit animal sanctuary that specializes in rescuing and caring for these wonderful creatures. The founder, Jonathan Kraft, and these wild animals have established a loving bond. To watch them interact is fascinating, and it's an experience you'll never forget. The staff and volunteers have dedicated their lives to give these animals a new start and a home where they can live out their lives in dignity. They also provide the community and children with an educational program where you can learn and help preserve our precious wildlife and the environment that we must all share. So listen to the call of the wild and support Keepers of the Wild, a truly fine organization.
You can find Keepers of the Wild at keepersofthewild.org.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Welcome to the Richard Spasoff Show with our special guest, Monica, the Spirit Queen. She's a psychic medium, and she's a investigator as well. And you could tell us what else you are. Monica, are you there?
I am here. Hi, Richard.
Hey, happy to have you here tonight, and thank you for coming on. Sometimes it's like pulling a tooth out of a tiger.
Thank you for having me. I am a paranormal investigator, a psychic, a medium. Anything that has to do with the paranormal, I do it. I throw myself in there.
Well, besides trying to clone yourself, how did you get started in this medium work?
Well, it started when I was in the second grade, and I saw my first spirit. And of course, at that age, it's kind of confusing and scary at the same time of what I'm seeing. And then, wondering if others see the same thing or not. Well, as time went by, I realized that my doors just kept opening more and more to the spiritual realm. And so I started practicing spirituality. I don't go by the textbooks. I don't go to the library and do my research or, go online and do my research. Everything I do comes to me naturally. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are surprised and shocked. Well, how do you know how to do this? And how do you know how to do that? I can't really explain that because it just does.
You're channeled. You're tuned in.
Exactly.
You're a
right.
good receiver.
Unfortunately, I can't get away from it either.
Yeah, I know. But I was curious, when you were in the second grade, who was that spirit that came to see you?
Well, I've kept this one a secret for a very long time until recently I started talking about it. It was a very good friend of mine. He was actually my best friend, my classmate.
Oh.
And unfortunately, he was the only child. Him and his parents, basically the family, got into a car accident and crossed over. No, and there was no survivors. And I did not know that. We had school the following day. And next thing you know, my friend appears in my home. And I was surprised because I saw him like solid. It wasn't see-through. It wasn't an aura or an orb or anything like that. It was solid. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and this is the funny part. I said, "What are you doing here?" You know, it's
yeah, what's up?
Yeah, and I was like, who let you in? Because I knew, you know, growing up in a strict home, my parents would never, especially a little boy, would never allow somebody to come over, you know, past bedtime at that time. Right. And he was very confused. He was upset. I mean, you name it. He was a mess. And he didn't even know. He said, "I don't know. I just felt like I needed to come to you." Aww. Which at that time, it didn't make sense to me. But later on down the line, I learned that when you're spiritual and your doors are open, you're basically a spirit magnet. So other entities will pick up on your energy and, you know, and, oh, look, I'm spiritual and I can talk to them and communicate with them, you know. And that's how it all started. And you know, of course, I helped him cross over and things like that later on when I started learning how to do it. So he was basically with me for a while.
That's nice, though.
Yeah, it is. We both cried that night. I did not want to let him go because he was my best friend. And I was one of those kids in elementary school where I was a book nerd. I mean, concentrated. I was a straight A on the roll student. I've been in a couple of spelling bees where I became first place. So school was very important to me at that time, rather than other kids, you know, hanging out with them and playing with them because that's you're in second grade. You want to play. I was the complete opposite. So I really didn't have that many friends in elementary. And I didn't mind either because, you know, in the end I got a big reward. So, coming, you know, towards the end, like, you know, he was my only best friend, and when that happened, so I basically lost him twice instead of once. The first time he crossed over, and then a couple of years down the line when I started mastering at certain things and, you know, basically playing around with spirituality in a safe way. I'm not suggesting anybody to do what I did, but I tested, you know, a lot of different things and, oh, cool, I can do this, I can do that, and I could see this, and I could see, you know. And so then I lost him again because when that time came when I was actually able to cross him over and knew how to do it the correct way, I ended up crossing him over. And, you know, that kind of sucked too, but at least he's in a better place.
Very much so. And you were there with them, but it's still sad to see our family, loved ones, or whoever it is that leaves, even though we're going to see them again, and even though they're around us every now and then, it's still not like the time on Earth when we spent with them. My question, how long were you with him in spirit form on Earth before he crossed over?
I would say I'll never forget my 13th birthday because he was still with me, and, you know, I had a big party, and my friends actually surprised me with a DJ. So we had a really good time. I would say shortly after my 13th birthday.
So we're talking about second grade to about your 13th birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
He was with us for a while.
Now,
And I think that's when it was really hard to let him go, but I had to keep telling myself, you're going to go to a better place. And he didn't want to go either. I basically had to push him out the door.
yeah.
I had to push him through.
No, he was safe with you. He felt very safe. He felt protected, but it was time for him to move on. Exactly.
Right.
What did your friends?
So we did grow up together. Huh? I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. But when he was there in spirit, did anybody else know about him or just you?
No, it was me. It was just me, myself, and I. I couldn't tell anybody because by the time I moved out and I got married, up until then, nobody knew of my gifts. And, my family, growing up with my family, they believe in heaven, they believe in hell. They just don't really believe in spirits walking amongst us. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of family members that are very spiritual, and they keep it in a hush-hush. We just didn't want to look bad in front of them. We didn't want to end up in an asylum because they would have thought we were crazy. They would have thought we were crazy. So I kept that to myself. And I was pretty much isolated, or I kept myself isolated from everyone else because I was happy. I was content with my best friend. I mean, we did everything together, even though nobody knew, but it was nice. And no, he was my biggest secret and the best secret I've ever kept.
Aw. Now, how long did you know him on Earth, or how long do you remember? How many years before he died? And
first and second grade. We were excited because we ended up in the same classroom again in the second grade. So, yeah. So first and second grade. It was like towards the middle of this school year, and I went to school. This is the crazy part. Okay. I went to school with him with me, next to me, right. And nobody knew he was with me. The kids were really upset. I mean, he was such a really good kid. He had a really good soul. He was very happy, and he cared about everybody. So if anybody in my classroom, at recess, at PE, if any of us would get hurt, he'd be the first one to be there. What can I do? And he'd run and get a teacher to help. And really good kid. So, throughout the next couple of years, we really didn't forget about him until after we graduated. Well, everybody else, right. I never forgot about him. But up until that point, there was still a talk, we miss him, this and that. And it was so hard to keep my mouth shut, especially at that young, it was so hard to not say, hey, he's right here,
Am I picking up, is he a little bit of a practical joker with you?
Yes.
What were some of the things he did?
A lot of it.
Okay, what were some of the things he did in that case?
He used to mess with me a lot at recess. We loved to play tag. I love tetherball, handball, things like that. His favorite thing was in the middle of a game, right when I was winning, he would jump in and interrupt and mess up the whole thing. So if I was playing handball and I was like, okay, I'm on a roll, this and that, he would jump right in when it was my turn to hit the ball. And he would hit it and say, well, I get the point for it. He was really funny. During test times, the funny thing is our teacher knew too, because during testing, because it's like such a serious time for us where we're concentrating on doing testing, he would make it fun for us, even though the teacher would get mad at him once in a while. But then, there are certain things when the teacher will let it slide and she would laugh too. But while the classroom was quiet, all of a sudden he would make these weird, funny noises, or out of nowhere he'd be like, okay, well, it's break time right now. Can I tell a joke? Like things like that. Like he was a jokester. He made everybody laugh. He loved to play pranks on people. But he was, I miss him. Now that we're talking about him, I miss him now.
It's okay. He's around you. He's around you. He was always one that protected you. He was just watching over you as well, like an older brother. and the best friend, both wrapped in one.
Right. It's funny you said that because he's always been protecting me. I mean, until today, if I want to pull him through and talk to him, if something's going on, he does still come to me once in a while, not as much as he used to because I've been extremely busy. But, you know, there are times when I need my guardian angel, my bodyguard, but yeah, it's funny because he did protect me, especially in school, bullies and things like that. So he would get mad if someone tried to mess with me. He's like, I'm going to take care of it.
And he did. He was one that not only talked about it, he did it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He had a lot of spiritual strength within him, even though I believe what I felt from him for you is so much love that he just was hard to leave you because you were his best friend and still are and always will be.
Right.
We have those friends that never leave us in spirit wise, and that's cool.
Right. And there's soulmates of the loved one you're going to be with, for the rest of your life, and then there's a soulmate for a best friend. And he's the only one that I've ever considered to be my soulmate, like my best friend soulmate,
That's okay. Yes.
He'll always be a part of me.
Aw. Now, okay, before we continue on, where can people find your website, Monica, Spirit Queen? Where can everybody hear about you and all that kind of stuff?
You can go to my website at monicaspiritqueen.com. I'm all over the internet. I'm even on Google. I'm on Yelp. You name it. Twitter. Every social media out there. I can't hide from anybody, even if I wanted to. So monicaspiritqueen.com is my website. You can also email me through my website, which is the beautiful part about it. There is a contact section in the front page. You click on it. You fill out the information. Make sure to leave a phone number. Without a phone number, I don't waste time contacting, or I don't do email chats. I don't have time for email chats. So I always let people know, please be sure to leave your phone number, and you will be contacted back. Sometimes, it might take a couple of days, but just be patient because I have, you have to be scheduled in for a reading or whatever it is. So just be very patient, please. I do get your emails, though, so I don't need a whole storybook and 10 other emails afterwards. We receive your emails.
Just the phone number. Get to the point, people. Get to the point.
Exactly. Make it easier.
Oh, man, I tell you, let's talk a little bit about some more of your paranormal experiences. Which is the one that really sticks out right now?
Okay. One of my favorite and the most famous stories I have, and this is one of the stories where, you shake your head and you're scratching your head and you just can't figure out what, what, it's one of those. So years ago in the beginning, now my husband and I have been together over 16 years.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And in the beginning, the first, I would say about a year and a half, we were together. We had this beautiful, big 2-bedroom apartment with a fireplace, a balcony, on the second floor and in California before we moved to Vegas. And I decided I wanted a puppy. I love animals. I'm an animal lover. So I got a little Chihuahua, a little puppy, a couple weeks old.
Right.
And I didn't even have that puppy for too long, but he was trained. As soon as he heard his bag of food, he would run to where his food bowl was. And every morning before my husband went to work, he would pour the food and the dog would come running to him. Well, one particular morning, my puppy did not run to get his food. And that was really concerning and alarming. I said, okay, well, is he sick? What's going on? Maybe he's still asleep. He didn't hear it. And we searched every bathroom, every bedroom, in the kitchen, under the couch, under the bed. My puppy was gone.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm the type of person, I'm a very private person when it comes to my family, my personal life. And that goes with making sure all my doors and windows are locked. At the end of the day, before I go to bed, all my doors and windows are locked, and it's including the balcony sliding glass door. And I remember going to bed with my puppy, who used to sleep above my head on my pillow, or in between my husband and I, or down, at the end of the bed. But he was always on the bed with us. And I remember going to sleep with my puppy laying with me. So the next morning when he was gone, I was going crazy. And we had just moved in not too long ago. We weren't there too long. We would say like maybe about a month and a half. And at that time, I wasn't doing my spiritual work full time. I actually had, I was a paralegal, and I was working in a whole different city where I would take the train. And
okay.
So I didn't really care too much to check in and see if my house or my apartment was haunted. And
you bothered. Okay, neglected that part.
Right. And the spirits did a really good job hiding from me. Now, I'm very good at finding spirits. You can hide for so long, but I will find you. And I'm good at picking up energies around me, but, being newlyweds, moving into a new place, and, having a little puppy, and it was all happening so fast, and it was so exciting. It was fast-paced. I didn't really stop to say, okay, well, let me check my house, my apartment. Come to find out, I found out later on from management and that complex, somebody had died not too long after or before we moved in. So there was several portals that were open in that apartment.
Oh boy.
We went downstairs, locking the doors, making sure the doors were locked. We went downstairs looking for my puppy. I was like, well, there's no logical explanation where my puppy went, So we were looking around and asking around the whole block, asking people, where my puppy's at, giving a description, and nobody's seen my puppy, nothing. Nobody knew. So about 30 minutes later, we come back up, and I said, I need a couple-minute break, and then we'll go back down and look for him again. We go upstairs, open the door. Every single light in my apartment was on. Every single water, hot water, not even cold, hot water, steamy hot water. The kitchen sink was on, both bathroom, the sinks, and the shower. I mean, when I opened the bathroom door, it was steamy. And so I was like, okay, but I didn't have time to really stop and think about what it is.
Right.
I already knew. I just didn't want to waste my time on it at that time. I wanted my puppy. And so we turned everything off, and I know I locked the door. So this time, for the second time, I made sure I double checked, and I locked the door. We go about 45 minutes later, we come back. Again, all the lights are on. Oh, and my ceiling fan was on in the dining room. It was just, and that's when it hit me. And I told my husband, I said, they took my puppy. He said, who? And I said, the dark side. The demonic entities that were in that house. And that's when my radars went up, and I said, I got to do something about it. What they did is they pulled my puppy through the portal, and which they're able to. I never saw my puppy after that again.
Okay.
What I ended up doing is I ended up getting rid of all those demonic entities and closing the portals.
What did the energy feel like inside? Was it cold? What was it?
You know what, Richard? After I started to feel them and realize what was really going on in that place, the energy completely turned from being a happy place to just this dark. We didn't even last there a year. A couple of months later, I said, I can't stay here anymore. We got to move.
Yeah. Well, that would get me out about 10 minutes. So I'm surprised you stayed that long. But, oh, man.
And I was kind of hoping they'll bring my puppy back, but, like I said, this is a head scratcher. Everybody's still asking, did you ever get your puppy back? No, I never did. I never saw my puppy after that.
Oh, boy. And this was, did once you left the house, did anybody else have any issues with it, or?
I would not know because, to be honest, I wanted to get away from there as far as I could.
I don't blame you. Yeah. Okay.
I did not have a care in the world to go back and investigate or check on things after that.
I don't blame you. Yeah, you didn't need to be attached to any of that stuff.
Yeah, you just want to get away from it.
During the time you were with it, did your mood change? Did what occurred during all this time before your dog was taken away?
It went from, happy new life to until I moved out. I started getting angry, like out of nowhere. I would just lash out. And it came to a point where towards the end, right before we moved out, I ended up quitting my job and, saying not so nice things to my boss before I left because, I used to be quiet,
right.
Like a really quiet, not shy, but more observing. But then as years went by dealing with both realms, our physical realm and the spiritual realm, my personality started changing. I started becoming more outspoken, maybe sometimes more than others, but I started being defensive and proving people wrong, at times when I feel like, nope, this is what it is. Before I used to let people slide and say, okay, well, right. I know you're lying, but I don't care about that. Now I will confront people,
Good.
Because it comes to, it's an eye-opening thing, and it comes to a point where enough is enough sometimes when you're dealing with both sides, both realms. It's overwhelming at times, but I wouldn't know what to do about it either.
A lot of people, what we do in this field, some say it's curse and bless. I look at it as bless, even though at times, like I remember one time I lost everything, including my car, brand new car I got, everything, in this flood that was in Louisiana at the time where I was in. I live in California. I drove up there. Well, I should say I flew up there. I was driving the car back, but heading in the wrong direction, okay? And I got stuck in all of this flood. I was able to park my car in a safe spot where basically the car drowned. Everything in the car went bye-bye.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but when I was there, not only for 2 years did I lose my health in my lungs, where I had trouble breathing, still do. Not only that, but we were able to save a few people. But at the same time, it was a spiritual adventure because there were a lot of people that connected. I mean, a lot of people lost their lives, their health. We were able to save a few people, but we were able to share that camaraderie. If I'm saying it right, you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm sure. So yes, it's. But with your life, what we were saying, sometimes it's curse and bless. But how do you balance things out?
Where do I start?
Anywhere you want.
It definitely is a blessing, and it definitely is a curse. And I think sometimes it's a curse more than a blessing. the blessing part for me, where I balance it out and still keep my sanity, is I have many, I can't even count anymore. There's just so many people that contact me throughout the world, different countries as well. And, sometimes I still think, like, who am I that they're contacting for help? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, when I'm able to help them, sometimes my husband has to remind me, what do you mean who you are? Look at all these people that are depending on you. Unfortunately, I've had many clients, actually not that many, but a lot more clients now than I did before when it comes to suicide. There are, due to demonic attachments and dark side and things like that, and so they contact me for help. And that's the blessing part of my work I do, that I feel blessed, because I do have the abilities to help all types of people from around the world, no matter what the case is when it comes to the paranormal. The curse part is I cannot get the spirits to shut up sometimes. Anywhere I go, they're with me. And on top of that, I think the curse part is, unfortunately, if you're in the paranormal field, whether you're spiritual or not, for example, you don't have to be spiritual to be a paranormal investigator, because you capture all those on ghost hunting tools. So you don't have to be spiritual, but as long as you're dabbling with the paranormal, don't expect your life to be normal. Don't expect not to have attachments. Don't expect, especially if you're well known out there, which I am getting there right now. There are people out there that don't want the best for you, and that's another curse. And so they'll turn around and they'll try to put a spell on you or something dark, send something dark.
There's a lot of people like that. Just send them God's love. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So, sometimes you have to deal with that too. But overall, like I said, I wouldn't know what to do if I don't feel the spiritual energy around me just one day.
Well, don't you think?
I'm so used to it.
Don't you think within this work that spirit always provides us with what we need? May not be what we want, but always what we need, right?
Absolutely. There are very good spirits that will give you the guidance, that will answer your questions.
Or take care of us. If we need if we need more money for something, or maybe a situation could take care of it. It's letting things go of all the old patterns and letting the good come in. For me, letting God come in. And it's just,
absolutely.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. Not dealing with spirituality, period. Anything that has to do with spirits, they can be a pain in the butt and a headache.
Let's see, your husband or the spirits? No, we won't go there. My girlfriend could be the same way. No, she's good. She doesn't believe in any of this stuff. How about your husband?
I got very lucky meeting the man that I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with, because he is very spiritual himself. He understands me. In the beginning, when we first got together, I wanted to be honest with him. I don't have anything to hide. I don't like liars, so I don't lie myself. So, I was honest with him, and I said, there's something that I'm going to tell you, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but I can't, if you still want to continue to be with me, this is before we even got engaged.
Right.
We were just dating. And I said, this is something that you need to know about me. And if you still want to be with me afterwards, great. If you think I'm crazy, let me know now,
Get it on the line, exactly.
Right. And to my surprise, he accepted it. He told me he understood, and he's very spiritual himself. he can feel energies around him, as well as hearing spirits and sometimes seeing them. Not as much as I do, but he's very, very spiritual, and he does understand. And he has had some spiritual encounters himself when he was growing up. So, you know, we compared our stories and our experiences, and we had a really long talk about it, and it was great. I mean, I feel comfortable telling him everything.
Me too, with my girlfriend, but it's okay if some people don't believe it. Some people do. I was raised, you know, my mom very much believed in God. My dad was an atheist. So you talk about the extreme. I've always been around. I've seen the spiritual world. I've seen what hell was like. I've seen people or demons attach themselves to other people and how they destroyed themselves. I've seen all types of things in my life, but I'm just thankful that I always had God to talk to, even though it sounds, you know, well, this guy, you should put him away for a 5150. But no, I just felt safe that I had God's angels with me through the worst times, as you do, I think, too, right?
Of course. I don't know what I would do without it. Just like, you know, I tell people when they ask me, how do you deal with all the curses, hexes, spells, witchcraft, voodoo, you name it, they'll try to put it on me. And I always tell them I'm protected. Yep. I don't tell them exactly how, because that's technically not their business.
Nope.
But I am protected, and for people like you and I, we understand what I mean, you know?
Exactly.
So, you know, bring it on.
You know, it's fun.
Hasn't affected me, so, you know, they tried death spells on me too, and I felt it. I felt it coming. I could always feel it coming before it even hits me, and I could always break it. That's one of my specialties, and that's, you know, something else I do for my clients as well. So, you know, bring it on. You want to play games? Okay, well, I'm not the one that's going to burn. So.
No, we don't. Exactly. No, we don't even want to go there. And I understand. I remember, can I share with you a story?
Of course.
There was one time there was this, I was trying to get in contact with the witch doctor to do an interview with him, right? And, you know, your common interview, I figure, you know, I'll contact him. He lived in Africa. But the interview didn't go, but something else occurred, which was a very special connection. This is where it gets a little strange, but you and me are used to strange. So I remember every day I was on the internet doing my interviews with some people, and there was this one person I was not supposed to get in touch with, right? Could have been involved in some stuff that wasn't good, maybe even some satanic stuff. Anyways, with that said, one night I was asleep, and in my dream I saw this witch doctor, and I saw in his hand a note with a name in that note, like one word, and it had Anne. And that was the middle name of the person. And all of a sudden, I saw the note go up in flame, and I woke up like in sweat, okay? And went back to sleep again. And then I saw the witch doctor again, and he had 5 pieces of garlic, and they were rotting in his hand. Again, that was a sign to stay away from that one person, that it was evil. And I had my friend that was a retired police detective look into this, and what we found out what wasn't good. So it was a good thing that he warned me about it in a weird way. But don't you think those you have a lot of those experiences? Can you share one of those about the good, about things that occurred that you're amazed at?
Oh, yeah. I have, oh my gosh, something happened that I will never forget. You know, unfortunately, these days, people believe in the dark side more than good.
Yeah.
But where there's bad, there's always good. Where there's good, there's always bad. They go hand in hand in some cases. So I was driving one time. This is when I would say I had just gotten my license at 16. And so I was going somewhere, and next thing you know, I almost get into an accident. At that time, my grandpa had just crossed over.
Okay.
And I always felt him around me. You know, I felt his guidance. But I never expected him to be one of my guardian angels. And I love this story because I almost got into a car accident. And every time I think about that story, I remember the song, gosh, I forgot who was singing that, Jesus Take the Wheel.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened to me. I panicked. I freaked out because it was like my first bad encounter behind the wheel by myself. I just got my license. And so I let go of the wheel. And I close my eyes and like I almost get into the fetal position in the driver's seat. I'm freaking, like I get scared. Like everything happens so fast. And I'm expecting my car to roll over. I'm expecting not to wake up, or, you know, if I do wake up, it's going to be from a coma in a hospital, something, you know, or I'm going to wake up on the other side. So, the car came to a complete full stop, slowly and safely, and nobody there was no accident. It was about to happen. And right when that happened, I felt like somebody took control of my vehicle.
Yep.
And was steering it for me and stopped it for me.
Oh.
And later that night, my grandpa came to me.
So that was him. That was that. Yeah. What I got to talk to you. Ooh, like when my grandfather comes to me, he has a certain smell, and he has a sense of humor about him. That you know through other. You could sense. What are some of the signs that you get from some of your loved ones that are spirits?
Smell for one, but you know when you cross over to the other side, you don't lose your personality.
No,
you know your sense of humor, who you are. And I know certain things that happen in my life, meaning, for example, growing up, we always had this habit of, you know, having breakfast, but it was the same breakfast every morning. You never got tired of it. It was just so good. And so, you know, until today, sometimes, we've had family members that did stay with us for a while on and off when I was growing up. And so we'd always share, have the same breakfast at the same time together, this and that. And sometimes I get that feeling, that urge of, hey, I want to have that breakfast, right? And it just comes out of nowhere, And then right after that, I get either a vision or a feeling, or sometimes I'll even pop in front of me, of so-and-so that I used to have breakfast with, the same.
Yeah.
So, it's a sign, and they will send you signs of whatever you guys did together before, just like a reminder of, hey, this is me, or I'm around, and this and that. So sometimes they will send me a sign of certain things, and then they'll pop up, and I'm like, I knew it was you.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
You want to have breakfast? All right, let's have breakfast. So,
So in some ways, it's the most simplest signs to the most complex, but
or they'll come in your dream too.
Yeah,
they'll come in your dream, and then you'll be like, oh well, I had a dream of my loved one that crossed over. It's just coming in a dream form, but they're actually there.
Yes, exactly.
Really
Yep.
So yeah.
Even
that's cool.
Now, what am I hearing in the background? Is there something I'm hearing, or just through our electronic equipment?
I don't know. Are you here? Are you hearing my spirits around me or what?
Yeah, I heard like a door, like a chamber door open up.
Wow.
I don't know, but
You're probably
interesting.
hearing the other side that's here.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's common. Okay.
I am haunted, so.
In a good way, though. In a good way.
In a good way, of course.
And now, do you get a lot of kinetic signs as well? Do you feel from your loved ones? I do as well.
All the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're thinking about them.
Mm-hmm. And if they know we're stressed out, they always help us calm down.
Yes, absolutely. My grandma is the one that calms me down the most.
Same
My
here.
grandpa is like my guardian angel, and then my grandma, she's emotionally and, mentally there for me. So she knows.
That's what people don't realize is that, don't you get a lot of people that just say, I want to see my relatives. I never get to see them. How would you explain that to them? I know what I say, but what would you say to them?
Their relatives that crossed over.
Yeah, yes.
It's not that they don't check in with you, and of course they're there in a time of need, and that's when people realize and notice, oh, their relatives around in a time of need.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just regularly thinking about them, on and off, just periodically, whatever, and it doesn't mean that they're not there. They're not there all the time. And this is something that I tell people a lot. I don't think spirits, the good spirits, I'm not talking about angels, I'm talking about just regular good spirits.
Right.
I don't think it's safe for them to be on Earth. So if your relative crossed over and they went up to, where they're supposed to, it's not safe for them to be on Earth. So a lot of times, no, they don't come down every single time. They will be there when you're in time of need, of course, but they will check in on you, and there are times you might feel them, but no, they're not there 24 hours a day. They're not going to be there.
It's us. It's us that has to be receptive to go to them more so.
Right. Right.
Because
you can talk to them.
Yeah, we have to be, unless God sends them directly to us, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel them all the time, but it's because I'm not in this world,
Mm-hmm.
unless, of course, if I'm upset about something, then I'm not going to feel them because I'm on the earth. Exactly. If we're in tune to spirit, it's because we have to be in that space, in that zone. Yeah. And that's, yeah, exactly. So it's just a matter of us going to them, I want to say.
Pretty much. And sometimes they do wait for an invite because it's a lot easier for them to come through.
Yes.
Traveling in the spiritual realm, it's not all fun and games as people think it is.
No. There's a spiritual warfare going on. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, when people say their spirits walk amongst us as on Earth, which I say it all the time too, it doesn't technically mean they're right there constantly, crossing the street, doing this, doing that. When they do that as well, but when they travel from place to place, far place to place, not where you can walk there,
right.
But when you travel from place to place, there are tunnels in the spiritual realm, and the spirits travel through those tunnels. And if you and those tunnels are open to the good and the bad. There is no, hey, take this freeway there and take that freeway there, but don't mash it up together because it's going to be a big collision of, So therefore, all these tunnels, they're free to any spirit. Good, bad, in between.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why There's no such thing as time in the spiritual world. There's no such thing as any of this where our loved ones could see us already there with them, even though we're not. So, yeah.
And it's a good thing you said that real quick. I'm so sorry. I just needed to throw
go ahead. Go ahead.
when this is a question that people ask me a lot too. Well, how do spirits know when to get there in a time of need? As far as, for example, my car accident I almost got into. How did my grandfather know I was about to get into a car accident? He was there to prevent it. That's the beauty about being a spirit. You could do what I do, basically. If not, they do it a little bit faster. But they're able to read you from head to toe. They're able, they know what is going to happen ahead of time before you know.
Exactly, yes.
They know what your next steps are going to be before you even know it and take those steps. So spirits are always, because there is no sense of time, they're always technically ahead of us when it comes to time.
Exactly, yes.
So
timing is the essence.
Yes. I'm sorry, go ahead. I rudely
No, you're fine. You're saying just exactly what I'm saying, and I'm happy to have you here tonight, Monica. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for the invite. It's fun. I love it. We have a lot of fun right now.
I'd love to have you as a guest again, but before we close, what words of wisdom would you like to leave for people or anything before we take off?
Yes. When it comes to spirits, if you're dabbling, two things real quick. If you're dabbling with the spiritual realm, be prepared to get burned. If you're not ready to get burned, don't play with fire. And that's my famous quote I tell everybody. And the meaning behind that is the spiritual realm, it's not a joke. It is real. It is serious. If you don't know what you are doing, not only are you going to hurt yourself, but you're going to hurt others around you. So stop with the casting spells and doing all these rituals. I don't recommend. No, don't get me wrong. Everybody has to do what they have to do to make a living. But don't go to tarot card readers because it's the same thing as playing with the Ouija board.
Makes sense. Yes.
Right. Anytime you play with materialistic stuff to open up doors, you're opening up doors and to the dark side. So if you go to a tarot card reader, you're not talking to your loved one. You're talking to a demonic entity, like I mentioned before, and they do a quick reading on you, and they mimic your loved one. So therefore, and then at the end, you have an attachment because that person sends you your attachment, that demonic entity they pulled through, back with you. They don't want to keep it. And they're not going to send it back and close the portal, so they'll send it with you. Now you have an attachment, and I do have a lot of clients that come from tarot card readers as well. Don't play with Ouija boards. If you want to do it with a professional and know exactly what you're doing. And make sure when you close the session, it's not just saying goodbye. That doesn't work. You have to personally, physically send that spirit back and close the portal. That's the only way you'll be free from a demonic attachment. And lastly, be very respectful with spirits. Respect goes both ways. Whether it's a good spirit or a demon, it doesn't matter. If you are respectful with them, they will leave you alone, and they will be respectful of your wishes too. So don't antagonize them like other paranormal shows do and then leave the scene.
Yeah, no.
If you're investigating, if you come encounter with a spirit, just be very respectful. You will get a lot more out of them than antagonizing them because now you're running for your life.
Great words. Just like using common sense and keep yourself in God's light.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, let's give your website one more time before we close and stay on with me, but go ahead when you're ready.
It is monicaspiritqueen.com. Monica Spirit Queen. It's spelled the way you said it. And I am all over social media with Monica Spirit Queen. You can't miss it. You'll find me. And be sure to leave a phone number, please.
Monica, Spirit Queen, thank you for being here on the Richard Spasoff Show. Much love to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Richard Spasoff Show. For more episodes and information, join us online at psychicmediumspasoffshow.com or catch the show on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. The Richard Spasoff